Good evening. This is the Town of Ayer Zoning Board of Appeals. Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, open session, remote participation. Meeting agenda. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Act of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, OML, public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberation through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom, meeting ID number 857-9728-7177, or by calling 312-626-6799. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100 prior to the meeting. I will call the meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. We have any changes?
Mr. Chair, I just want to remind you to do all your votes via roll call since we're remote.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. State your name.
Jessica Gino, aye.
Mike
John
Gibbons,
Ellis, aye.
aye.
Now you walked on each other. Try it again.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
John Ellis, aye.
Mike Gibbons, aye.
All right, Sam Goodwin, aye. All right, that being said, first item on the agenda, the continued from August 18th, 2021 and September 15th, 2021, public hearing application for a special permit, Mark Fermion. Mr. Gibbons.
Good evening, board members.
You have 4 members. Your call.
Yeah, well, last meeting, we had decided to continue because of that, but we're, pressed for time, so we've chosen to move forward tonight.
All right, that being said, before we get started, I'm assuming you have some sort of presentation you're going to go through. I did want to question the validity of the information that your office sent over to us with those 3 court cases and partial section of the master plan. I don't understand the point.
Well, I'll get to the point. That would have been a package I would have presented if we were in person. And I will refer to those items as we go forward.
We're going to debate court cases?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just, I presented those cases and I'll state what they stand for, but we're not debating court cases. I'm just providing those.
The only connection I can make in those is that I read them, and I'm not a lawyer by any stretch, but when I read those, the only thing I see is that the landowner or the property owner made application, was denied, sued, and was overturned. So is there a point there?
Oh, absolutely. And I will get to that in my presentation, but those cases were provided to you. And I'm going to tell you what they stand for. It certainly is not adversarial. I didn't send them over to indicate any kind of litigation, but case law establishes what the board's obligation is, what they ought to consider, and I'll reference each of those. You can see that one of them was a conservation commission, so it's not the facts necessarily. It's really what the cases
one was
stand for.
conservation, one was one was conservation, one was a greenhouse, and one was a cottage condo. So
Yeah, and what I'd ask is that I didn't send them over for the fact pattern. I sent them over for what the cases stand for, and I'll reference them. I didn't want to reference a case without you having, the actual case.
all right.
It's a little
Proceed,
difficult
sir.
with the Zoom, right? Because, you have a package that maybe you present in person, maybe you don't, depending on how the meeting goes. In this case, we're a little bit of a disadvantage. So I gave you everything that I intend or may reference tonight so that you'd have it.
Thank you. Proceed.
Okay, very good. So I represent Mark Famani, and he owns 236 Snake Hill Road here in Ayer. Cal Goldsmith's with us tonight, and Mark is beside me. And as you know from previous meetings, this property is in the A2 district, and the table of uses for our bylaw provides that two-family dwellings are allowed in the A2 district by special permit. The dimensional requirements of our bylaw are that for a single family in this district, it's 1,200 square feet. For a two-family, it's 2,400 square feet. And as you know, our lot size is 24,113 square feet. Section 3.4 of our bylaw says that in part, that special permits shall be granted upon a determination that the adverse effects of the proposed use will not outweigh the beneficial impact to the town or the neighborhood in view of the particular characteristics of the site and the proposal in relation to the site. As you know, the board has 6 criteria to review. Those criteria are social, economic, or community needs, which are served by the proposal, traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading, adequacy of utilities and other public services, neighborhood character and social structures, impacts on the natural environment, potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment. Now, we believe that this proposal, the positive effects outweigh any alleged adverse effect. Now, I happened to watch the August meeting, which I wasn't at, and it seemed to me that the board as a whole felt that this proposal met all of the requirements with the exception of the character. And I'd ask that if that's true, I can shorten my presentation and focus on that. If otherwise, I can go through each of those items. But having watched that meeting, it seemed that character of the neighborhood was the only issue. And so I'd ask if you could tell me if that's true, and I'll proceed accordingly.
As speaking for myself, that's pretty accurate. Mike?
Yeah, I agree, Sam. You know, I said it to Cal, I think was the gentleman at the meeting. You know, I didn't feel that it you know, matched the character of the neighborhood. You know, he continuously asked me, you know, if I was referring to the fact that it was a two-family in a neighborhood of primarily singles, and that was the case. And I still feel that way, having gone through, you know, the assessor's website. Shortly before the meeting tonight, I did a quick scan around Sandy Pond, and I still feel that way. So, but yes, the character was the crux for me.
John?
No, I don't feel,
You lost you.
we definitely found that it did not meet the character of the neighborhood, but it also was objected to by 46 residents. That's
Mhm.
driving this.
Yep.
We have, you know, we have an obligation to the abutters, and that's why they have the opportunity to present their opinions and their feelings. And I think that we need to support them as well.
Thank you. Jess?
The same, neighborhood character, and the petition by abutters supports that as well. That's the basis of that petition, it seems to me.
Thank you. There you are, sir.
Yes, so just for clarification from Jess and John, so it's the character. I understand that the abutters will have a chance to speak tonight, but I want to make sure that I cover the criteria that I'm required to do. And I note from the August meeting, Mr. Ellis, you had stated that there were no grounds, you had no grounds against it other than character. And so I can go through all of the criteria, but if it's just the character and the issues raised by the petition, then I will narrow my focus to that. So I feel comfortable with the chairman and with Mike, and if Jess and John can confirm that those are the issues, I'll limit it to that.
Yep.
I went, yeah, I went and looked. You go out there and you look, and it don't fit. It just doesn't fit. So that's, if you want to classify that as character, it's character, yes.
Ellis, just so I know how to proceed, are those the issues that you have concerns with? It's not the other issues that the criteria sets forth.
Who are you talking to?
John Ellis?
Oh, okay. I think he's having trouble with his wireless.
Oh, yeah, I have wonderful service here. It freezes. I miss half of what you say. But anyway, no, it is not just one thing. I just told
Okay,
you. There
then
are three
I'll
different-
proceed under all the elements then. Okay, so the first issue is social, economic, and community needs. This is a two-family that will provide brand-new housing for two families in Ayer. It will provide housing for families that may not otherwise be able to afford to buy a new single-family home in Ayer or in this beautiful neighborhood around the town's nicest pond. Providing housing for young couples or older residents who could not afford a new home or choose not to purchase a home provides opportunity to make this neighborhood more diverse and increase the vitality of the people in the neighborhood. So although the intent right now is that it's rental, obviously there's no long-term imposition of that, but the plan is that it be rental. So that's the first criteria you have to consider. The second criteria you have to consider is traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading. So traffic for two residential units at this location will have minimal impact on the neighborhood. This property is just north of the access from Sandy Pond Road and Calvin Street. Parking will be off-street entirely within the lot. And again, there's no difference between the two family on a 24,000 plus square foot lot as two single families on 12,000 square foot lot. So that's the second criteria. The third criteria is adequacy of utilities and other public services. I know Mr. Goldsmith had presented this at the August meeting, but the property has access to town water and sewer, electricity, cable, and other public services serving the other homes in the neighborhood. The fourth criteria is neighborhood character and social structure. So I'll leave that to the end because I do think that's the big issue here. So I'll come back to that. But the fifth is impacts on the natural environment. So it's our position that a two-family on 24,113 square feet would have less of an impact than a two single families on two lots, as it will provide more open space. It's more compact. But again, no difference in lot size. And we meet all the dimensional requirements, all of the other dimensional requirements. The sixth element is fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment. So the two-family will provide additional real estate tax revenue for the town. A two-family on the lot will have no more impact on town services than two single families on 12,000 square feet each. The construction of the home will have a favorable impact on employment while construction is underway. And Mr. Fermanian, who's a longtime resident of Ayer and works for a local business, is sure to use local town tradesmen and probably the local lumber company to purchase the stuff to build the home. So that's all a positive fiscal impact. Now, going back to the fourth criteria, neighborhood character and social structure. So zoning allows a single family on 12,000 square feet and two family on 24,000 square feet. And again, our lot is 24,113 square feet. Allowing the special permit would not impact the character of the neighborhood, as there is no increase in density compared to the rest of the neighborhood. And as mentioned before, and I think this is important from a social structure perspective, providing housing for people that ordinarily would not be able to afford to live in this neighborhood will increase the vitality and diversity of the neighborhood. So I'm very well aware. I've reviewed the neighbor's petition, and I see that that's weighing heavily on the board. And I'm anxious to hear what the neighbor's concerns are, but I'm going to go through and what I've deciphered from it is I can see from the petition that Mr. Philibrown thinks that the request would be an exception to the bylaw. This is a special permit request, not a variance. I know this is clear to the board, but this is not an exception to the bylaw. This is an allowed use by special permit. Special permits are for allowed uses where, for whatever reason, there should be some enhanced oversight by your board. I see in the petition that it says allowing a duplex would irreparably damage the single family character of the neighborhood. For the reasons I stated earlier, I do not see what irreparable damage would occur. The proposal provides an opportunity to welcome neighbors who would not likely otherwise be able to live in the neighborhood. It preserves the open space by putting 2 units on 1 double lot. The petition also says that allowing the special permit would establish a precedent for other multifamily residents in the A2 zone. Now, the board knows this isn't true, that the ZBA is not a precedent-setting authority, that anybody else that comes with a proposal has to go through the same public hearing process, and most importantly, would have to have at least a 24,000 square foot lot. Finally, the petition says that there are no multifamily homes in the area. If that is true, I suggest to you.
No what? I'm sorry, no what?
No multifamily, no duplexes,
okay,
no
sorry.
multifamily in the neighborhood. And if that's true, I suggest to you that that's even more reason for this board to grant the special permit. The bylaw allows 2 families by special permit because the drafters of the bylaw envision 2 families in the A2 district with a higher degree of oversight by this board. This is a neighborhood with a beautiful natural resource in the pond, and opening this neighborhood up to 2 families that would not otherwise be able to live in that neighborhood is a benefit, not a detriment to the neighborhood and to the town. Now, we all have our inherent subconscious biases, and it's the job of this board to make sure that you base your decisions on the bylaw and not on a pretextual argument that has no real basis in the bylaw. So how do we make sure that we do that when we're reviewing a proposal like this? Well, the most important thing is that it's the board that makes the decision and not the neighbors, and the board applies the law as set forth in our bylaw. And another way to look at it is to review our master plan. And our most recent master plan is from 2017. So that was the reason I sent this over. Do each of you have that?
I'm pretty sure more than one of us has read it. We might even have participated in it.
Great, great. Yeah, and I do note that John Ellis is actually on the master plan committee. And Ms. Carolyn McCreary, who was signatory number 3 to the petition in opposition, is the co-chairperson of this committee. So I'd like to reference a few sections. Now, these are just samplings, and you can see that it's not the entire master plan. So if I'd ask that you each refer to your copy of it, and if we go to the second page, which is the first page after the cover. So the first paragraph states that the purpose of a municipal master plan is to engage in public process that results in the creation of a document designed to guide future actions of the community. It presents a vision for the future with long-range goals and objectives for all activities that affect the local government. This includes guidance on how to make decisions on public and private land development proposals. Then flip to page 7, which is the 4th page of the packet. And tell me if anybody's not there yet. And I'd ask that you each follow along, because I can say it. I know that you're having some difficulty maybe hearing me. So I'm asking that you follow along in the copy that I provided. So page 7, first paragraph. Land use determines who lives and works in Ayer, their quality of life, and the fiscal sustainability of the town government. The master plan mission statement integrates the goals and recommendations of all master plan elements to articulate a consistent set of principles that guide policy, funding choices going forward, and shapes what kind of community Ayer aspires to be in the future. The priorities include protecting Ayer's natural and cultural resources, improving transportation access to residents and workers, and maintaining the town's social, economic, and racial ethnic diversity. The next paragraph down, Ayer can influence future land use to meet its economic, housing, transportation, and resource goals through development regulations. Flipping to the next page, which is page 8. Halfway down the page, in the paragraph that begins with the word based. Based on the current zoning, there is roughly 200 acres remaining of undeveloped land and potentially an additional 140 acres that may have some development potential. With so little land remaining, it is imperative that the future development proposals efficiently utilize the remaining land and serve necessary public objectives while also maximizing revenue potential for the town. Flipping to the next page, page 9. at the very top. Or actually, if you go back one to the last page at the very bottom, the last line, it says, and tell me if I'm going too fast, please, but the last line of page 8. As shown on table H7 in the housing chapter, the median age of most Ayer's multifamily housing stock is 100 years old, while the vast majority of housing built in the 20th century and beyond has been single-family homes or condominiums. With the exception of a handful of subsidized affordable housing developments constructed within the past 40 years, the majority of the rental housing supply is in the 100-year-old buildings. The next paragraph down, the trend towards larger lot single-family home development reflects the town's land use regulations. This development pattern consumes more open space and is more expensive due to land value and infrastructure cost, and is a housing choice that is mostly attractive to higher income households and families with children. Going to the next page, page 18. First paragraph, line 3, new projects must be compact and are best suited to occur on underutilized rather than undeveloped land. Moving forward, the town staff, planning board, and zoning board of appeals must review projects to ensure they are in conformance with the master plan's goals of providing inclusive housing and economic opportunities. And then to maximize existing multimodal transportation, minimize fiscal impacts of the town or the cost of delivery of services, and protect the critical natural and cultural resource protections. The next page, housing, first paragraph. Ayer values its unique combination of diversity. And now it asks you to go down 6 lines, middle of the line. It says, in addition, Ayer housing is increasingly becoming less affordable. At the same time, much of Ayer's less expensive housing stock is aged in varied states of disrepair. Preserving housing opportunities and socioeconomic diversity in Ayer through new development and the improvement of existing neighborhoods is consistent with protecting the town's distinctive character and values. The next page, last paragraph. Moving forward, it will be critical for the town to monitor demographic shifts to ensure that new housing development supports the needs of its residents, housing that is suitable both for aging residents as well as younger residents seeking starter and transition homes, and housing options that are affordable for Ayer's workforce and lower moderate income households will be necessary for maintaining Ayer's diversity and character. Skipping over 2 pages to page 28, halfway down there, the paragraph that says there is substantial income disparity within Ayer and among the towns in the surrounding region. The median income for senior households is less than half of the median for all households, while families having considerably higher incomes than non-families. Ayer's median income climbed by more than 30% between 2009 and 2015, outpacing all neighboring communities in the region. To some extent, this shift in demographics is likely related to the types of new housing constructed in Ayer during this time period, attracting more affluent households. Consequently, maintaining housing diversity will be essential to maintaining social and economic diversity in Ayer. Page 29, the next page at the very bottom where it's bold. It is anticipated modest attached and detached single-family development and small-scale multifamily infill development will continue to increase in the upcoming years as efficient land use patterns, municipal fiscal sustainability, and controlling housing costs will be paramount concerns for housing development. Page 30, the next page. Last paragraph, 5 lines down. Middle of that line, it says, however, following the completion of Devon's Crest in the 1940s, and Devon's Crest is obviously a hot button issue, the preferred type of housing development through post-war period shifted to single-family housing, which tends to consume more land while providing fewer housing units. Going to the next page, page 41. This is the formative issues that our master plan committee came up with. And I'm looking at the first bullet item, changing demands. While new housing development has mainly focused on large single-family houses on large lots, there is an increase in demand for modestly sized single-family, townhouse, and multifamily units in walkable neighborhoods with access to the commuter rail, commercial, and recreational amenities, like, the nicest pond in town. As an amenity-rich community with limited remaining land or fiscal resources to dedicate to sprawling development, Ayer is better suited for compact residential development. The next bullet point, changing demographics. Ayer is attracting higher income home buyers, typically residents who commute to work. An influx of working age residents with higher incomes can have a positive impact on the condition of privately owned housing. However, great care must be taken to ensure Ayer's longtime residents are not displaced by increasing housing costs. Now, the top bullet on the right, maintaining affordability. Housing in Ayer is becoming increasingly expensive, particularly for people who work in Ayer and/or longtime residents. Both affordable housing and more modest market rate housing are needed to maintain affordability. And finally, the last page, page 42, the bottom two bullet points. These are recommendations. Increase infill development opportunities in existing residential areas to minimize the destruction of critical environmental habitats and drinking water supply areas. Incentives should include zoning amendments that allow for compact neighborhoods, minimum lot size reductions, shared driveway waivers, and accessory dwelling units. And the last point, update subdivision bylaws to remove sections that encourage inefficient housing development, remove excessive roadway widths, cul-de-sacs, etc. So we don't have to change any bylaws for this. Our bylaw allows for this use in this district. So.
Could I ask one question?
Sure.
There's been a lot of stress on the need for affordable housing. And I know there are particular criteria for affordable housing costs or rentals or purchase. And I'm wondering to what extent, I mean, this was asked at a different meeting, and I think Mr. Goldsmith said it wasn't going to be affordable housing, it would be more affordable than maybe. So just wondering, what was your anticipation of what rental costs would be? Would this be affordable? Would there be, I'm not saying one way or another, I just want to understand, are you trying to sell this as affordable housing?
I'm a market guy. In America, the market controls. So it would be fair market rent. We all know that fair market rent has gone up high in Ayer. But, you know, the lay person knows that a duplex with 2 units in it to be rented is going to be more affordable. Not affordable under the definition of the state affordability, but it is going to be more affordable than 2 single-family homes on the same property. So yes, it'll be fair market value rents. But look, we are in need of rental properties desperately in Ayer, particularly with what's going on in Devon's Crest. And although this is a different figure than Devon's Crest, it's again more housing opportunity for those that either can't or choose not to purchase a home. And it's for, you know, let's face it, it's for, if you rent in that area and you're the person that can't afford it, it's an opportunity to open up that beautiful neighborhood to other people, as called for in our master plan. So I suggest to you, and I think from watching the August meeting, that the board is certainly inferred to the average person watching and to me watching that we met all of the criterias, that the big concern was the character of the neighborhood, and that being that there are no other duplexes in that neighborhood. To deny the special permit because there are no duplexes in the neighborhood.
No. That's not the context.
No, and I'm not.
It wasn't denied. We didn't say because there were no other duplexes in the neighborhood. I think you were taking that out of context. What was said was the duplex doesn't fit the neighborhood with all the single family homes. I don't think somebody said this is not a good idea because there's no other duplexes. That's not I didn't say that, neither did Michael. I don't know where you got that.
Mr.
Look,
Chairman,
I'm not being adversarial. I'm making a presentation. I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm open to questions. I'm open to hear what the members say. But at the August meeting, you know, Mike says if this neighborhood had more duplexes, he would feel more comfortable. Show me a
Michael?
duplex within 1,000 feet of the area. But I'm not doing this to be adversarial. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, based on our bylaw, for For the ZBA to deny this based on it doesn't fit, which I'm not sure what that means, it would be the ZBA nullifying the bylaw that was adopted by the town meeting. The reliance on that argument would mean that there'd never be a duplex in that neighborhood, right? So if the criteria doesn't say all of those 6 plus number 7, if there's another duplex or another multifamily in the neighborhood, it doesn't say that. And to say that that's a reason why it doesn't fit is really arbitrary and just, you know, I just don't understand. So maybe what I'd ask is, tell me what it doesn't fit means so that I or Cal or Mark can answer that issue.
In my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, is when I went out and looked at it, I looked at what the what's in the area, what the neighbors are, what the houses are around there. And they're all single family. They're relatively close together, clustered. And you look at them and that's the ambiance of the neighborhood. You go in there and you put a duplex and to my mind, it just doesn't fit the neighborhood. Let me give you a different example. When I lived in Merrimack, it was a HUD housing development, 235 house, and there were probably 50 houses in the group. The one house across the road from me, the guy did a beautiful job, built the house up, turned it into a 6-bedroom house. It was completely out of character for that neighborhood, and it was also out of the price range when it went up for sale. They couldn't sell it because it was too big, too much for that one neighborhood. So that's just what I base it on. That's what I look at. That's what I see. So the other members can speak for their selves, but that's what I think. Mike?
Yeah, I'll jump in, Sam.
Okay.
So like we talked about at the last meeting, I do feel that the duplex in this situation doesn't fit the neighborhood. At the very same meeting in August, we actually granted a special permit seeking something very similar right up off of Washington Street. Now, I didn't do it today, but I'd be happy to do it. I think if I took a look around Washington Street, within 300 feet, I'd find another multi, or duplex. I did that before this meeting for this property. And again, I didn't find one from the bridge down out all around Sandy Pond and up to Ridge Road, or whatever it is that goes around Sanderson Pond. And I think Attorney Gibbons made some good points when he went through the 6 criteria, but I think you could make the same arguments that the affordable housing piece that Jess brought up. If it's not deed restricted, Mr. Fermanian can charge whatever he wants. I mean, I guess 2 units allows for more people to live there, but like Attorney Gibbons said, market rents in Ayer are not cheap right now. And unless it's affordable with a capital A, like we've talked about in the past, this isn't, who's to determine what affordable is? The traffic, I agree with Attorney Gibbons. I don't see that this is going to be an increase in traffic. Adequacy of utilities, once again, I agree. Number 4, character, I've made my opinion clear. Impacts on natural resources, Conscom didn't have a concern with it, so I'm obviously not. And then fiscal impact, we've talked about, it was referenced more than once that 2 single-family homes could do this or that. Well, frankly, 2 single-family homes would likely bring in more tax revenue. So from a fiscal standpoint, I think 2 single-family homes would be better, but that's my 2 cents.
Also,
Jess?
the master plan on page 8, under developed uses, talks about the bulk of development, residential development, being higher density closer to town. And then it refers to outlying areas such as those around Flanagan and Sandy Pond. And to me, that's sort of specifying it's a different character even there. And that's what I'm interested in preserving.
Thank you. John, you want to try?
Well, you know, before we went into that whole process, he stated that if we didn't have, if we knew the two objectives that we had was character and the abutters, that he wouldn't need to go through the presentation. But then he went through it again, and again, he started off and reiterated about the affordable. And we were told in the very first meeting that this is not affordable housing. So it's just like banging a drum. And most of it really didn't apply to our objections. So I really don't know what we're trying to accomplish here. I mean, we have stated that we don't believe it fits the character. And we have 46 abutters who do not want anything to do, not abutters, 46 residents signed this petition. And he says he doesn't know what their objections were. Well, he didn't come to the first hearing. The first hearing was open. The abutters were there. They stated a lot of their issues. And now we're at the mercy of Zoom, so they're not here today. But either way, I still think we have to support these residents who are paying the taxes in that neighborhood, and they know what they want to live with.
Thank you. Attorney Gibbons?
So look, I've lived in the town of Ayer. I don't right now. I did for a long time. Everybody knows my office has been here. I was on the planning board for a number of years. So I say this, as an attorney, but being respectful. The board has an obligation to make its decisions based on the bylaw. All court cases that deal with these types of issues talk about arbitrary and capricious reasoning. And those reasonings generally fall outside the scope of the bylaw. I don't say that to be aggressive, to be adversarial, and it's just the reality. And I know that all the board members have been on there for multi-years, and that you understand that. I did watch the meeting for August. I mentioned that earlier. And I think I went through the petition, and I think I made clear why that doesn't fit in the bylaw. I don't know what irreparable damage means. What does that mean when you're talking about a two-family on a lot that's 24 plus square feet that meets all of the dimensional requirements? So, looking from the meeting in August, Mr. Philibran stated that Mark does not take care of his property, and the board should not change anything.
We're not talking about that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, but that's what you said.
No, I said nothing about his character, nothing about the way he did that.
No, but you said I wasn't listening to the neighbors' issues, and I'm just
Well,
quoting.
you said that you'd like to know what the neighbors' issues were, and you weren't here.
I do,
Now
right.
you're gonna go back and say that you read them and you do know.
Okay, well, I
The bottom
apologize. I thought I
line is-
heard you say that
The
I
bottom
didn't.
line is, we as a board have said that we have issues with this not fitting the character of the neighborhood. And I have said that we have an obligation to the residents of the community who come to these hearings and say what they feel. And there were a lot of issues. It was not just whether or not there was trash and all that other stuff that we're not going to bring into this.
All right, so if someone
Let
could
me-
explain to me
Can I
what,
say one thing, please? During that August meeting, when all this came about, it only took a few abutters before I realized what was going on, and I stopped it. We are not there to debate the merits of somebody living next door to somebody whose trash is in the yard. That's not our issue. We deal with that lot, whether or not it can be used for a duplex, not how well somebody takes care of their yard or if they're complaining about their neighborhood. They have a problem with that, they go to the police department or the building commissioner. We will just make the determination whether or not a duplex can go on that lot, period. So the fact that, you say, well, the abutters were at the meeting and they did start to complain about that, but I want you to know I stopped it and we proceeded along from there.
and I did view the meeting, so I saw that. What
All
I'm
right.
trying to do for the benefit of my client is to figure out what it doesn't fit means. So, Mr. Chairman, you came closest to an example that, there was a neighborhood you're familiar with where the house was much bigger than other houses in the neighborhood. I think Cal had presented some schematic plans at the last meeting, but the plan is to have 2 3-bedroom units. So, if that's what it doesn't mean to not fit, that this home is going to be too big for that neighborhood, that's simply not true. If you wanted to put a condition that at no time in the future, and Mark, tell me if you wouldn't agree to this, that there'd never be more than 4 bedrooms, because the plan is 3, but let's be reasonable. If the fear is that there's going to be some duplex mansion there, then we can live with some reasonable conditions. The other, from watching the last meeting, Mr. DiFilippo, I guess, trying to figure out what fit means, he said it towers over the other homes. Cal made clear that no, we meet all of the height requirements of the bylaw, so it isn't going to tower over the homes.
We don't,
So
the only thing we have is a plot plan.
No, Cal, did you show a schematic plan of the structure?
Yeah, we did show an elevation of the structure as well, so you could see what the building itself looked like. I think it was part of the application.
We can certainly get that to you. I mean, as the board knows, the ZBA doesn't control the appearance of it. It's not site plan. But what I'm saying to you is if you're concerned.
All we had is a plot plan.
Part
He
of
did
the
show it.
interruption, I just had a question as one of the abutters, because I do have to leave.
We'll get
for-
to the abutters, sir.
I-
We will
I
get
was
to
just
the
asking
abutters.
because I have to leave. I have a kid's sporting event and I didn't know if I could say something before I have to leave.
Make it quick.
Thank you. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure my concerns
Can you
are the
state your
fact.
name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, Kevin Bresnahan, 4 Wachusett Ave East, Sandy Pond. So my concerns are with the fact, certainly about the neighborhood and the character of the neighborhood. I completely agree, obviously, with everything that the board has said. This truly would not fit the character of the neighborhood. You've all driven around it. Totally agree. The other concern is that this is precedent setting. So while what you say is it wouldn't impact the existing traffic, it certainly opens the door for future multifamily homes. I understand they have to go through the same process, but the objective of now it does not fit in the character opens the door for other multifamilies. And the biggest concern I have is my kids' safety. The traffic on this road, particularly with potentially homes at Stratton Hill, cannot support traffic. I'm telling you.
Should
if
have
we
no
build more-
bearing on this impact.
I'd like to speak, Mark, please. More traffic on these roads will mean an absolute severe safety hazards for children. Allowing multifamilies into this neighborhood, I'm just terrified for my kids. I truly am. That's my primary concern. And I will have to say, I'm sorry, Mark, you have a terrible reputation. We've seen what happens to
That's
those.
far
homes.
enough.
Carly, enough.
No,
Nope, I don't want,
no,
absolutely not.
Stop.
Absolutely
there.
not.
Okay. Thank you for letting me speak. I do appreciate you letting me the opportunity.
Thank you.
Chairman, and I know the board knows this, but let me just respond to some of these things. Saying it doesn't fit the character over and over again does not help me, does not help Mark to be able to answer those concerns. And it does put us on legally tenable grounds. So I still don't understand what fit means, other than size, which you mentioned, other than what Mr. DiFilippo mentioned about towering over it. Precedent setting, it's simply legally inaccurate to say that this is precedent setting.
We didn't say
It opens
that.
the door to other duplex units. The bylaw opens the door. The bylaw allows, this is an allowed use. We all know what allowed use means. It's an allowed use by special permit where the board has to apply the criteria set forth in the bylaw. And the bylaw says character of the neighborhood. What does that mean? Well, towering over other buildings, being too large for the character of the neighborhood. The character of the neighborhood, I'm assuming, unless they're pre-existing non-conforming lots, are single families on 12,000 square feet, or can be 2 families on 24,000 square feet, which we have more than that. Now, opening the door to multifamily, no, it does not. If you look at the table of uses, multifamilies are not allowed in the A2 district. Now, if we were asking for a use variance, which the town of Ayer allows a use variance, then these things would be much more tenable for the board to be making the argument, because the character of the neighborhood. I'm asking for a variance and it doesn't fit in with the neighborhood. And our bylaw, which sets the regulations that everybody has to follow, the legislative body, the town meeting, if it wasn't allowed and I was asking you for a variance, you could say, hey, look, the town has said that we shouldn't be mixing duplexes with single families. But the bylaw does that. So it's not opening it up to anything. Town meeting has already made that decision that this is an appropriate area for duplexes with your particular oversight. So, going through those criteria, that's what you have to do. So I'm interested to hear more about what doesn't fit means.
Do you think that the fact that the statement that it doesn't fit, or it doesn't fit the character of the neighborhood, do you think it is subjective or objective?
Well, it's very subjective, and my mind can go to a whole bunch of different places, some negative places. Like,
That's correct.
it doesn't fit because these people won't own the homes that they're living in, and the rest of us own our own home. That's a negative. I don't know if that's what it doesn't fit means. Doesn't
No,
fit
I
because
don't.
I want to protect the value of my home, and some reason they think that a two-family would depreciate the value of their home. That's where my mind goes, unless someone can tell me otherwise.
Could I make a question? I mean, you keep saying that I know some towns, there are other towns in their bylaw that just simply don't allow multifamily units in single family zone neighborhoods. They just put that out in the bylaw. Ours is has a little give and take, because it's a special permit allows this if we decide that. And so it's just because it's potentially allowed doesn't mean it's automatically allowed. And that's up to the decision of the zoning board. And we, as Mike said earlier, at the previous meeting, we did allow for a similar special permit in a different neighborhood where there are already existing multifamilies and the school and such. It's a different type of neighborhood. So it's just not persuasive to me to keep saying, oh, the bylaw allows this. This bylaw only allows it by special permit, which means it's under review, which is what we're doing here.
What,
Right.
let's back up here for a minute. I'm assuming that you're looking at this being a duplex as an income property. So what would be the economic issue for a single family house versus a duplex?
Before you answer, I'm sorry, we keep having people unmute themselves. If you could just stay on mute, other than the board members, there'll be a chance for the abutters to speak. Then you can unmute, but we get a lot of background noise if you just unmute while everyone's talking. So everyone can be recognized, but I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly.
So you
Attorney
mean the
Gibbons?
board, are you inferring that the board would be inclined to give a variance to allow two single-family homes on that 24,000 plus square foot lot?
I didn't say that at all. I
No,
just asked.
then I misunderstood the question.
No, my question was, obviously, the duplex is economically driven. You're gonna make more money off of a duplex than you would a single family house. And my question was, is it that much of a difference between a single family house and a duplex as far as the rents would go? Don't say it's times two, no.
Yeah, there would be a huge difference in value, for a single family on a 25,000 square foot lot. I mean, I can't give you numbers, but I think, as a layperson, you say, yeah, obviously, two incomes are better than one.
Yeah,
The other issue raised by Mr. Bresnahan was the impact on traffic, and he's afraid for his kids' safety. Again, if there were two homes on those lots, it's the same amount of traffic. So I just don't think that's a valid reason. So again, I think it's the board's job to make sure that they follow the bylaw and they apply the bylaw correctly. The three cases that I sent over stand for various things. Fitzsimmons versus the Board of Appeals of Chatham stands for the fact that the board may not refuse to issue a permit for reasons unrelated to the standards of the bylaw. And that's why I'm trying to get to the root of what the issue is. What basis in the bylaw are you against this? Fafford versus the Conservation Commission stands for the fact that a board, now in that case it was the Conservation Commission, but it's all, the decision-making process is the same, that the commission may not refuse a special permit based in part on character and reputation of the applicant or prior zoning violations. And I know,
That
Mr.
doesn't-
Chairman, you
that
made it
doesn't-
clear. I know you made it that clear. I'm just trying to, make our argument that we have to have legally tenable reasons to deny it. Mahoney versus the Board of Appeals in Winchester. Long-range considerations alone cannot reasonably lead to complete denial of a permit, which can have no substantial effect upon public welfare at the present time. So the issue of, it opens it up to other multifamilies. Again, I'll stress the fact that it's the bylaw that allows it. You'd have to have 24,000 square feet and you'd have to go through this process. So I'm still at a loss as to how you could deny it based on a fit. So if it's the size, will we agree to 4 bedrooms in each unit?
Yeah.
So if it's the size, he'll agree to a condition that those units have no more than 4 bedrooms each. That can get recorded at the Registry of Deeds. That's
Wrong
a
number.
huge thing. Excuse me?
Wrong number.
What's the number?
You said 4 bedrooms each.
Yes.
No,
And what do you propose?
you said 4 bedrooms each. That's an
Each
8
unit.
bedroom.
That's
That's an-
correct. Each unit could have it. The plan is 3 bedrooms in each unit.
Hey, a little
So-
while ago, you said 2.
I said 3 bedrooms in each unit, 2 units, 3 bedrooms in each unit. Now, I'm saying we would accept a condition of 4 because I think that's reasonable. This would be something that would be recorded that would be in perpetuity. So I think it's reasonable to say, okay, someone that might eventually own that might want an additional bedroom. And this is going beyond what's required by the bylaw, but we're trying to meet what your concerns are. One thought I had, could it be that you want one entrance? Well, it is one entrance. The driveway has 1 entrance instead of 2. So the number of bedrooms would agree to a reasonable condition. The towering over other buildings, we're saying, no, we're not asking for a variance, so we'll be in conformance with the height requirements. So please let us know what the other concerns are that it doesn't fit, and maybe we can meet those concerns.
I don't know how else to say it. English is my primary language. I don't know how else to say it. It just does not fit the character of the neighborhood. And again, that is subjective.
Could I ask if there were a proposal to put 2 lots, 2 separate houses on this 24,000 square foot plus lot, there would be a problem, wouldn't there, with frontage? As I'm looking at the plans, it's only 122 feet on Snake Hill Road. So this lot wouldn't be viable as a 2-house lot anyways, just because of that.
Well, that's correct. That's why I asked if the board was inclined to, with suggesting that a variance could be had for that. But a lot in this district only requires a minimum of 100 square feet frontage. So we'd need 200 for 2 homes. So when you look at the bylaw and say, okay, I got the 100 feet of frontage, what can I do? And our bylaw says you can do a duplex.
I wonder if it's time to before we move the question, maybe hear from some abutters.
All right. We will, we'll take abutters one at a time and we'll keep it focused on the property itself versus the owner. We good on that? All right. Who's the first abutter to speak? Somebody raise their hand.
So
Phil Brown?
Phil Brown, yeah.
Yes, all right.
I'm
Yes,
his,
sir?
yes, I'm his neighbor. It doesn't go with the neighborhood and, the neighbors don't
Can-
want it.
No?
Can you state your name and address, please?
Greg Philibrown, 238 Snake Hill Road. And I'm right next to where the new house is gonna go.
Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
For edification, what do you mean it doesn't fit?
It's just, we live in a neighborhood of all single family homes. And it just would look so out of character. Nobody wants it.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask Mr. Philibron, did you see the plan that
I did.
what the building would appear?
I did.
How it would appear? You
Yeah.
did? And what aspect of it doesn't look
It
like
just
other homes in the neighborhood?
single family home to me. It looks too out of character. It would change the whole appearance of the neighborhood. And
Okay, but you do understand that the bylaw says that
I
duplexes are allowed.
I don't need to hear that. I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, I'd like to speak. I'm kind of like with Kevin Bresnahan on this. I just don't feel like if he brings this in, there's gonna be more to come in and give them.
It would just change. The
It would
whole
just change
neighborhood.
the whole neighborhood again. And I'm kind of with my brother on this too. So that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is your name, sorry, is your name Courtney?
Oh, it's Rhonda.
Rhonda Connors, right?
Yep.
Okay, and what's your address?
240 Snake Hill Road. I live next to my brother.
Okay, yeah, so if everyone could state their name and address, it will help me tremendously. Thank you.
Who's next? Sloan?
Peter Sloan, 4 Standish Avenue. And I don't believe that it would, I think would open the door to other duplexes. And this neighborhood, I think it goes against the neighborhood. And the people with me agree. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Do we have other abutters?
You guys want to say anything?
Colleen White, I'm not sure if she was in a butter, but she was,
Oh, there's, yeah, I see her.
I don't think I have anything to add. I was just, I think before I had a message to unmute for some reason, and that's why I did. But I just agree with what's been said before.
Thank you.
I like what you talk about. Yeah.
Let me ask this question. Do we have any abutters for this proposal? All right.
Hello?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's Phyllis Bastilio, Ledgeway, Sandy Pond. I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want Ledgeway, Ledgeway. I just want to concur with the others who have spoken.
All right. Thank you.
My name's Kathy Hebb, 12
Yes,
Wright Road.
ma'am.
Kathy Hebb, 12 Wright Road.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just feel the same way that if this is granted, it's going to open the door for more and it's going to impact, impact the character of our neighborhood. And I'm deeply concerned about that. It's just going to open the door. If we look at Central Avenue, the development there, once it's multifamily is a multitude of things. And we all have single family homes there. And I really feel that this isn't going to fit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask Ms. Hebb what the size of her lot is?
The size of my lot, off the top of my head, I don't know, sir.
24,000.
Any more questions?
Is that towards me, Mr. Chairman?
Can't hear you.
I don't hear anybody.
Chairman, if there aren't any, I'd like to respond to a couple issues.
Right
Are
ahead.
they
then we'll-
new
then we'll-
issues?
Thank
Sorry, I
you,
didn't
John.
get that.
Are they new issues?
There are issues that are raised here that my client deserves to be heard on. So look,
understand
I
that,
get
but
how.
you've gone over these, you've gone over the same points multiple times. So I'm looking to hear something new.
Responding to the questions. Look, I get how hard it is to, once, you believe you've made a decision. I'm telling you, this is probably, in all my 26 years of practice, this is the most untenable grounds that I've ever seen any air board infer that they're going to base a decision on. So respectfully, I asked to be heard in response to the issues that were raised. So the only new thing I heard, other than doesn't fit, which I don't have a definition of, and fit, I guess the lay definition is it doesn't fit. Well, it does fit the size of the lot under the bylaw, but it's an appearance. So it doesn't appear to be like the other homes. So we would be willing to take a condition that the entrance of the home have only one entrance, and then that the entrances to each unit would be inside so that there would be an appearance of a single family home. So if that's the concern, so if it's the number of bedrooms, if it's the height, if it's the appearance of the front entrance, we can answer all those questions. And I suggest that if there's still any hesitation on the board's obligation is to apply the bylaw, not to, yes, you're representing the neighbors in a sense, but you're not representing the neighbors to the detriment or to the nullification of the bylaw. So if there's any
That's what they
hesitation still, I
believe.
would, what's that?
That's what they believe.
But sir, it's what you believe as a member of the ZBA, the voting member. Yes, you take those things into consideration, but you yourself had said that certain things that they've raised are not pertinent to the decision. So we're all back to this fit. It doesn't fit the character, which there's been three things that have been raised, which we've answered each of those three things. If there's more, the definition of it doesn't fit, I'm all ears and we want to try and work with the board. So what I'm suggesting is if there's any hesitation by any of the board members, then let's do a site visit. Let's go down there and see what this lot looks like.
I think most of us have, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
Well, but I think going down there would be helpful. I just don't know how to answer your concerns that it doesn't fit, other than the three reasons that you've raised. And I know you're familiar with your obligation and with the case law, and it's arbitrary and capricious to say it doesn't fit. To tell an applicant that it doesn't fit and don't define that in a way that he can answer those concerns. The three issues that we've raised, we've answered the concerns. We're willing to answer any concerns that are related to the bylaw. So tell me, if you're going to vote no, tell me what issues you have other than the three that I've already said we can comply, we can agree to a condition. Please tell me so that we don't have to go through a court case over this.
So Sam, if I can jump in. just
Michael,
for a
go
second.
right ahead.
So, we talked about the criteria for granting a special permit. And tonight we focused on number 4, neighborhood character and social structures. I'm suggesting that the character of this neighborhood is that it's made up of single family homes. It would degrade from that character. I know it is allowable by special permit, but that's what I'm suggesting, and that's what I'm going with.
So Mike, would you agree with this then, that there will never be a duplex in that A2 district?
In that neighborhood?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't agree with it, right? We do have the bylaw, but I don't.
But your argument is that I won't approve this because there are no duplexes in that district, in that A2 district, that neighborhood that's in an A2 district. If that's the rationale that this board is going to take, then there will never be a duplex in that district. And that is an absolute nullification of the bylaw that the town meeting, our legislative body, adopted. I don't disagree that you have the obligation to apply those criteria. We've gone through each of them. You've applied them, you've found that we've met them, except for this issue. So it's all back to definition of fit. And to say that there's only single families in that district, I don't know, I didn't check, but I'll take that as given. I'll take that as a given. But then there will never be. So this bylaw is inapplicable to that neighborhood if that's the position that this board takes. And that is legally untenable. It's just, you don't have the authority to do it. Now, you can make your decision. Mr. Fermanian can go through the appeal process and spend a lot of money. And that's a shame because this board has an obligation to base its decisions on the rule of law. The rule of law in this town when it comes to land use is our bylaw. So it's no different than if some other law isn't applied properly, whether it's state level or federal level. It's unfortunate that you would, make someone go through that when it's untenable. And I'm saying it's untenable, and I'm asking you to tell me why I'm wrong, and then we will answer those issues. So I think the board's in a very bad position. I get that it's hard to, after, taking a position, it's hard to back down, particularly with the, the concerns of the neighbors, but your obligation is to apply the bylaw. And I'm asking again that if a site visit would help, if there's any of the 4 members that still have concerns, if it would help, let's do a site visit. But you don't have the authority to say, because there's no 2 families in that district, I'm not going to vote for it, because then you're not following the bylaw. If you told me I'm not going to vote for it because you don't have town water or sewer, you don't have the utilities that are necessary for someone to have a habitable home. There's no water down there, and the groundwater is contaminated. That's a reason you could say, we're not going to give you the special permit, right? You look at the other criteria. No storage, and we're all on granite, so you can't get a septic system. That's a reason you can use to deny it. But that's not the case. You're telling me you're going to deny it because there's no other duplexes in this district, and the bylaw says that they can be. So you're telling me there never will be. What's that?
We've never said because there's no other duplex.
I guess I'm not hearing the same.
You're the only one that keeps saying that. You keep saying that's the
All right,
reason. That's
then
not what
I'm
we
sorry,
said.
Mr. Ellis, I'd like you to tell me why it doesn't fit then. What is your concern about it not fitting?
You've heard an explanation from the chairman. You've heard an explanation from the vice chairman. You've heard it from the abutters. Secondly, there is absolutely no hardship for this to be granted. So
This isn't
we're spinning our
sorry.
wheels here. If
So-
you don't
so-
have
so Mr.
something
Ellis,
new, other
so
than
Mr.
telling
Ellis.
us what our job is, and that you don't understand what people are saying, we need to come to a resolution.
So you're telling me that I didn't convince you that there's a hardship in this situation, and that's
No,
part of
there
your
is no
decision?
hardship in this situation.
And that's part of what you're basing your decision on?
I haven't heard where there's a hardship.
I'm asking you if that's what you're looking for me to do.
Tell me what it is.
Okay, I'll tell you that there's no hardship requirement in a special permit. The hardship requirement is in a variance. So I'm asking you to apply the bylaw that exists that applies to this. So there, and I respectfully say this, I can't tell you there's a hardship, but there's no requirement for a hardship. So if you're going to deny us because I didn't convince you that there was a hardship, again, that's legally untenable. It's a shame that we would go down the road of litigation over a misapplication of the bylaw. And I say it respectfully. If you think I'm confused, tell me where in the bylaw it says there has to be a hardship, because we can go to the bylaw. I'm looking at section 3.4, and it tells me what we have to do. Nowhere does it say convince the board that there's a hardship. So it's not a variance. I ask that we please, and if a site visit helps and the board looks at the bylaw again, and we come back next month, I would suggest that that's reasonable. But there is no hardship, and we don't have to show a hardship, and I don't say that to be difficult.
Okay,
I
point
say that
taken.
it's not the law.
Point taken.
So then I'd go back and ask what aspect of doesn't fit that you're concerned with. You're right. The chairman told me it's the number of bedrooms. We've said we'll limit it to 4. Ron DiFilippo at last meeting talked about it being towering, and we said we will meet the height requirements. A neighbor said it's the appearance. I'm telling you, we'll alter the appearance so that there's one entrance, so that if you drive down that street, you're going to look at what appears to be a single-family home from the front. So what else is there?
No, you misunderstood my point. It wasn't how many bedrooms were in the house. The house was too big for the neighborhood. It was out of character for that neighborhood. Now, and if you go back up to that bylaw, one of the points in the bylaw isn't the character of the neighborhood?
That's the root of what I'm trying to get to. What part of the character doesn't it meet? So you're telling me maybe it's the size. I thought it was the bedrooms. Okay, it's not the bedrooms, it's the
No,
size.
sir. It
I'm
was
feeling
just
like we're being a bit badgered here. I'm sorry.
I'm just really trying to get to the root of it so I can answer your concerns. But if it's the size, I can tell you, I'm going to the dimensional requirements. I can tell you that we're going to meet the side yard, the front yard, the rear yard setbacks. We're going to meet the stories requirement. We're going to meet the feet height requirement. We're going to meet the maximum building coverage requirement. We're going to, maximum floor area doesn't apply. And we're going to have them way more than the minimum open space of 60%. So how do we judge that it's too big if we're not talking about too big based on the bylaw? If I was asking for a 3.5-story building, I'd be coming to you for a variance. You could say it's too big. I'd say you're absolutely right. And if you don't want to grant it to us, you're fully within your rights. But it's not too big if it fits within the bylaw, because that's the only criteria we have. It's not subjective big, it's big based on the bylaw.
You know, I think we're beating a dead horse right here, to be quite candid. It's pretty plain how the board feels about it, not to mention the neighborhood. And we keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I don't think we're making any headway either direction. So unless we have something new or some other form of communications that we can establish, I think at this point, we better just call a vote and bury the dead.
I'm gonna again request that we have a site visit and ask the board to look at the bylaw. You don't have to do that, I get it, but I'm putting that on the record that I'm asking you. You say it's clear, I'm telling you it's not clear. I've asked over and over again to please tell me what it means. The issues that have come up, I've answered. So it's not gonna be clear to a court either, because it just, fit is not a definition that's in the bylaw and that, you know, is subject to lay interpretation. So I'll ask for a site visit. If you don't want to do it, I would ask that you please approve it based on what I said tonight and based on the proper application of the bylaw. And if you don't, I mean, it's legally untenable, but you know, that's prerogative of the board. I can't answer those issues that aren't brought up to me. If there's a concern, we'll deal with it. There isn't anything further than what we covered. Again, I'll ask one more time. Tell me what the concern is and we will see if we can meet it.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. This is Phyllis Bastilio again from Ledgeway. Why was it
Yes.
necessary to apply for a special permit if you're badgering the board to go your way? I mean, what was the point of the special permit? Why was it needed?
Special
Answer that
permit is
question.
needed for the permission to build a duplex in a single family area. That's what the
Okay.
special permit's for.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's
Mr.
what I
Chairman,
thought it was.
If I've come across as badgering, then I apologize, and that shouldn't be held against my client. I'm an advocate. I'm frustrated by not having a issue defined for me so that I can meet it. So if
You're
I'm-
looking for a clear definition when you're getting a subjective answer.
so are you making your
My answer to you is based on what I felt when I stood there and looked at that lot and the houses around me. I suspect Michael or Jess would have probably done the same thing. I stood there and looked at it and said, oh, I see. So, and that is also part of the bylaw, is it not?
Well,
Yes or
it's
no?
character
Yes or
of the
no?
neighborhood. It
Yes.
is, but it has
Okay.
to be a legally defined character. So you're telling me subjectively it doesn't fit. Well, okay, then I can't change your mind on that. I don't think it's a legal basis for a decision. I know that in the August meeting, you said that it's what you think, what you believe, and what you feel. That
Yes,
was
sir.
what you said at the August meeting. And I'm saying to
correct.
you that that is not the legal criteria. What it is social economic impact, traffic flow, and the 6 criteria. It's not what you feel, what you believe, and what you think. And I
Is,
say that respectfully.
is the neighborhood character in the bylaw? What was it you read in that bylaw? What was some of the criteria, particularly about the area?
Social and economic and community, I mean, I'll go through them again. Yeah, I think you're referencing number 4, neighborhood character and social structures.
Yes, sir. neighborhood character. How do you define neighborhood character? That's what we're talking
I
about.
would define neighborhood character as, you know, a McMansion, that you say, hey, look, you're asking for a duplex with 12 bedrooms in each place, even if we met all the dimensional
Well,
requirements.
that's your opinion of the size of the house.
No, right. I'm trying to give you an answer to what
Okay, I'm
the
sorry.
question, and
I'm
it's,
sorry.
and I'm trying to reach an objective, not subjective, because the board, the neighbors can delve into the subjective. The board has to be objective based on the bylaw. So again, I mean, it may come across as badgering. It's not. It's legal advocacy, and so nothing that's been presented to me tells me what fit is, other than the items that we talked about. And I know Mr. Ellis is going to say I'm repeating myself. Well, of course I am, because every issue that got raised that was sort of definition of fit, I've answered. And the board's telling me, well, we're still not going to do it. We're still not going to do it because I just don't feel like I should. You can't just not feel like you should when you're on the board. You know, impacts on natural environment. So if there was all wetlands, you'd say, no, you can't do that there because it has a negative impact on the wetlands. I mean, that's the thing. I've met all of the requirements, and I can't convince you if it's subjective.
You can't convince me when there's 46 people that signed a petition saying they don't want this in their neighborhood.
So, Mr. Ellis, you're making the decision because the neighbors don't want it.
That is part of the reason.
Wouldn't neighborhood opinion be part of what helps establish the character of a neighborhood to some degree?
Nice thought, Jess.
Neighborhood opinion based on an objective criteria in the bylaw. Hey, look, let's face it, in America, right, we all have to follow the laws, whether it's
They
federal,
have
state,
to live
local, or
with our
bylaw.
decision. And I'm not going to make that decision to force them into something that is not in their interest.
And so you're not going to do what the legislative body of the town of Ayer said we have to do, which is, you know, allow duplexes in A2 districts with the oversight that we've talked about. So, I mean, it's nullifying the town meeting.
The legislature says that we have to notify those abutters so that they can make their objections known, and they have to be taken into consideration.
And I went through what those objections were.
Michael, you still here?
I am, Sam. The only
All
thing
right.
at this point that I can suggest is, and you know, this is just my suggestion and the board may feel differently. I'd like to hear from town council because I've gone through the bylaws. I don't see a clear definition of neighborhood character. And I have a feeling I know what it is, but it's clear to me at this point that, you know, we're getting ourselves into a fight here at whatever stage we go. So if we could get some kind of opinion from town council on their definition of neighborhood character, if it meets with mine, I stand where I stand.
Yep.
That's my
that's-
request, but again, it's at the discretion of the board.
That really sounds reasonable. I hadn't even thought about that. We're going in
We're
circles.
harping on one fact, and again, you asked Attorney Gibbons to define it. He gave his definition. It's not in the bylaws. If we could get that clarified, maybe it would help. That's all.
So what are you suggesting? We push it off another month?
Continue it till November. Yep.
All right.
So are you looking for an opinion from town council? Are you looking for them to come to the next meeting?
An opinion
No,
from town council,
Yes,
I think.
yes. We look, Carly, you know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So we need to know, you know what the board feels and what the bylaw says. And what we need to know, so we may pass along to Attorney Gibbons what the definition is and how we stand on it. I guess that's the way to put it.
Okay.
It's the character of the neighborhood, or how it was written. I don't have the bylaw in front of me.
So can we just make a motion to that effect and then
Make a motion to what effect?
that you're requesting town council to review?
So just before that, Carly, In order
To
to
review-
continue, are we running up into any kind of time constraints here where we'd need an extension from the applicant?
Well, no, we just have to agree to continue to the next meeting, which is
Okay.
November or something.
17th, I
17th.
believe. Yeah.
Make a motion for what?
To request the authorization to use town council. When
Okay,
boards and committees do that, we just ask for a vote because obviously it's very costly. So
we kind of need that
that's fine.
opinion of what that definition is.
That's fine. So just put it in a motion and a vote. That way, just for the record.
John, you go along with that or are you opposed?
Can that include in
Just
in any
hold on,
way?
John.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I would
Jess?
it seems like going back to the beating the dead horse thing. But I would be okay if we had a very narrow thing of town council giving us a definition that we can work with of neighborhood character, but I really don't see how we're going to get beyond the subjective element there. However, I will defer to Mike's suggestion if that's.
Would you
what
prefer to
everybody-
just vote on it now?
I would prefer to just vote on it because I think this requires 4 votes. It's a supermajority vote, right, Carly?
That's correct.
Right. And
Chairman, if I can say something.
well,
Let us finish, please.
with this particular point, I have my own idea of what neighborhood character is, and I think we're going to wind up in legal territory regardless. I don't see this getting all 4 of our votes at the moment. So
Mike? Just thinks
Like-
we ought to vote.
And I respect that, but like I said, I would feel more comfortable if we could run it through town council, but I'll go with whatever the majority of the board prefers.
and I will as well. So
John?
I'm open to getting town council advice.
All right. Attorney
okay,
Gibbons?
I'll go along with that.
Oh, and I certainly think that's a good idea. And respectfully, I might suggest that you include in the definition of character, is it subjective or objective? I hope that they would cover that. But I would appreciate that. And I also, we would consent to extending a month if we're up against the time frame. But I would also ask that since we have a month, that again, that we do a site visit so that, when we're down there, you might be able to tell me, this is one of my concerns,
we've
and
all
I
seen
might
the
be able to
property.
answer that.
John,
But I haven't seen it with you. And if you have a concern that you haven't expressed to me, because I'm saying I don't know what it is, maybe at a site visit, you can tell me, look at this, look at that, and I can try and answer that concern.
Can we discuss things like that or debate that on a site visit? I thought that had to
No.
be full public view.
But you can
Yeah.
certainly make notes and tell me. I won't answer until the next public hearing. A site visit is open to the public too, but I think if we're gonna have a month anyway, let's utilize that to help me understand what your concerns are so I can deal with them.
all right. I make a motion that we ask town council to define the term, what was it?
Neighborhood character.
Neighborhood character in the bylaw.
Second.
Somebody second it?
Second,
All in favor, say aye by name.
John Ellis.
Mike Gibbons, aye.
Jess?
Jessica Gino, aye.
Sam Goodwin, aye. That good, Carly?
Yep, and then we would just need another motion to continue till November 17th at 6.
Now,
Mike,
before
your
we do
turn.
that, Sam, just
Yeah.
Well, if you want to schedule a site walk,
do we want to do it?
I've been there. I've been down there.
I've been
Do you
down
think it
there.
would be beneficial to go through it with the applicant and the public? Because I want it to be abundantly clear, and if we're doing something like this, I want to post it on the town's website so that all the neighbors can come down and see in the light of day what it is we're doing down there, if we do it.
I'd like to talk to town council about that. there's certain parameters with the open meeting law. This board, it doesn't mean we can't, we haven't done one. We can schedule it, maybe not do it. I want to be careful if we're deliberating that we meet all the requirements of the open
Yeah.
meeting law.
I'm fine if we don't, I mean, I've been on plenty of site walks, all of you have too. I'm fine. There'd be no deliberation from our part. But I would hope that being down there with you at the next meeting, you could tell me, hey, when we were down there, we were standing on this part of the lot. One of my concerns is this, site distance. I don't know. I'm just coming up with things that potentially could be there. So we're not asking to deliberate there. It's no different than any other site visit that you've done.
So do you guys want to schedule a site visit, ZBA?
It may be difficult with the different work schedules of having everybody available at the same time.
Well, we'll have to do it at a convenient time.
I'm available after 5:30, pretty much any day.
Well, by 5:30 these days, it's getting
Dark.
dark. So it'd
Very
have
good
to
point.
be a Saturday morning.
Yeah, look, on what I'm looking at, our next ZBA meeting's on the 17th, so that's Veterans Day weekend, the weekend before.
Right.
I would defer to Jess too, because she basically has sidewalks every weekend for Conservation Commission. So
The 13th, Jess, what do you think of that? November
I
13th?
I can do that.
John?
I don't know, probably.
Mike?
I can make it work, yep.
All right, we can plan on one, say 10 o'clock, Saturday morning, November 13th.
Is
we
that
do
okay
it
with the applicant?
earlier.
And
Huh?
we'll make ourselves available whenever it's convenient for the board.
Can we do it earlier at like 9?
That's even better for me.
Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I don't watch cartoons on Saturday anymore.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing.
So 9 a.m. on November 13th at the Snake Hill, what is it, 236 Snake Hill Road.
Snake Hill Road.
Yep.
Is there any objection, Mr. Fermanian or Attorney Gibbons, with parking in that lot? Would you, or you'd rather not? Should we park on the road? Where do you think? Just that road's kind of dangerous to be parking on the street.
You're not gonna park on a road right down that far.
Yeah,
I'll have it all cleaned out for you.
okay.
Thank you. All right, I make a motion, we continue this hearing until November 17th, 6 p.m.
Second,
All in favor, say aye by name.
Mike Gibbons, aye.
John
Yes,
Ellis,
Pino,
aye.
aye. Whoop.
Dan Goodwin, aye. That's 4 of us. Maybe we'll have Ron next time.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope he's feeling better. All right, thank you, everyone.
Very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Wow. Next item on the agenda.
Want to make a motion to close this hearing, or you don't have to?
No,
we
no, we're
continued it.
continuing it.
Okay,
It's continued, John.
all right.
Next item on the agenda is a request for an extension of variance, Richard Simpson, 38 Washington Street. We did this one a while back. Is that, and he couldn't get it done because of everything, the state had shut everything down because of COVID. So his
Well,
drop dead date's what, December?
December 18th, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah,
You had to sit through this whole thing?
yeah,
I'm
I did.
sorry.
That's it's okay. I actually probably learned a few things, so oh, hold on one second. What do you eat?
Yeah, so it's a 1 year.
Sorry about that. My dog was eating something she wasn't supposed to. No, so yeah, my dead drop date is December 18th. And so I had to do the A&R, got the A&R done, and that took a little bit of time to pull that together. And now I'm getting the legal documentation to do a partial land release with the loan company. So the litigation for that is being put together, and there's no specific time frame on when the loan company can review and grant that release. Plus, they have to do a review with Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, depending upon, I forget which one it's with. So I needed the extension because, so I could get the partial land release. And then once I do that, then what I can do is I can look into my options for, which I've already started looking into, whether it's economically feasible for me to build a home there, or if I'm gonna, sell land for a single family structure, which we talked about during the zoning board meeting, and I think during the planning board as well. So those are the kinds of things. I already talked to Charlie about, if I obtain a building permit, how long do I have before I have to start and stuff like that. But in order for me to be able to meet or execute those decisions or execute the variance, I do need that extension. And so I'm asking the board to grant an extension on that so I can complete what I set out to do.
Mike,
No opposition.
John,
No opposition.
Jess?
Absolutely no opposition.
All right, I have no opposition. I make a motion, we grant the extension as requested.
Second,
All those in favor say aye by voice vote.
Mike Gibbons, aye.
Jessica Gino, aye.
John Ellis, aye.
Sam Goodwin, aye. You have your extension, sir.
Thank you very much. And a quick follow-up question. So that extension, is it good for what, 6 months?
6 months.
Another
so
year,
it'd
isn't
be-
it?
No, it would be 6 months, so it'd be
Oh,
June
okay.
of 2022, June 16th or 18th.
Okay, and is this the only extension that can be granted at this point? According to the zoning, the zoning bylaws, or can it be granted for longer than that?
I believe you get 1 6-month extension on a variance, but I can double check tomorrow.
Okay, and do I have to submit a new variance for the registry of deeds or no?
You already got the variance recorded, correct?
Yeah, I already got the original variance recorded, so I didn't see an expiration date on it.
No, so it's in the statute, it says it has to be acted on within 1 year. So what I think we do, and we haven't done one of these in a while, but we could just file a letter with the town clerk stating that a 6-month extension was granted, but I'll check all of that tomorrow with town council.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd really appreciate it, because I don't want it to, like, it be in a position where I don't have that, and if I have to re-register it or register it with the registry of deeds, I want to make sure I just dot all the i's and cross all the t's.
Yep, will do. I'll look into everything tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Simpson.
All right, have a good day.
All right, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from September 15th. Anybody see any problems with those?
Look good.
Look good.
They're good to me too. I make a motion, we accept the minutes of September 15th as posted.
Second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye with your name.
Mike Gibbons, aye.
Jessica Gino, aye.
John Ellis, aye.
Sam Goodwin, aye. So I can sign them, I can stop by and sign them Friday, Carly, when I get back.
Okay, or we can
If you
just
want-
do your electronic signature. like
Yeah,
we
do
did.
my electronic signature, that's fine.
Okay,
All right. Anything else before we adjourn?
Nope.
All right, I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Second,
All in favor, say aye by name.
Mike Gibbons, aye.
Jessica Gino, aye.
John Ellis, aye.
Sam Goodwin, aye. Thank you, people. It's been lovely.